You're listening to the Ropes and Riffs podcast with your host, John Kiernan.
John, wrestling entrance theme song composer. And talking about wrestling entrance themes, we're going to talk to none other than my good buddy, Monteasy. You know him for lots of different things. You know him for his podcast, Teasy's Table, but you probably know him even more for Sammy Guevara's theme, Take Flight. You just heard him on Final Battle 2024 with an awesome theme for that, and we're going to talk all about that. And obviously, we're going to talk about the Dragon Lee theme we worked on together before he went to WWE, and even more. For those who are looking to get into wrestling entrance themes, we're going to talk a little bit about the industry there too, so definitely stay tuned. Got a big episode here coming up. Before we jump into the episode, just want to thank everybody who's been listening, sharing on socials, listening to the podcast, checking us out over on YouTube. So just be sure that you're sharing the episodes. Everyone who's been joining us, it's been an awesome experience so far. Thank you for all the love and the feedback on that. And if you're listening on any podcast directory, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, that's not a thing anymore, but anywhere else you're listening to us on the podcasting ecosystem, go ahead, subscribe, drop us a comment. It really helps out the show. Hit us with a subscribe over on YouTube and leave us a comment on who else you'd like to see come on the show and leave us your feedback. We love being able to see what you're thinking of the show. I love doing the show, love writing entrance themes and bringing on musicians and wrestlers for you. Also, go ahead and donate over to PayPal at Ropes and Riffs. $10 or more of a donation gets you a shout out on the next episode as well. So without any further ado, know what you're waiting for. You're waiting for the conversation with Monteasy, waiting to hear us talk all about wrestling entrance music. So enjoy this episode with Monteasy. You know him from Teasy's Table. You know him from all the themes you hear in all different promotions. I like to say I write a lot of themes, but I think y'all know who's on the show today, and y'all know the man behind many of your favorite themes. You are the man, the myth, the legend, Monteasy.
Peace, my brother. Peace, man. Thank you for having me on your show, man, on the Ropes and Riffs podcast. Not only am I grateful, but, with us, with how much we work together and the camaraderie and being able to build outside of just what we do is an absolutely phenomenal thing. So I'm blessed. I am appreciative. I'm thankful, brother. And, we're brothers in arms in this. So it's good to connect, man. It's really good to connect.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's cool to say that, we've done stuff together, but it's cool to also say that we're friends outside of everything that we do too. Like you said, I don't think you could have put it any better than that. It's been a crazy couple of years too. And, for me, I never thought I'd be doing entrance theme, but I never thought, and I say this all the time, that the camaraderie that is there within the wrestling industry, especially, with you and it's just, I think we talk even more about non-wrestling stuff than we do wrestling stuff. And that's just the coolest thing. And it's just, it's been cool to be able to have this connection with you for all these years. And we're going to talk about so many things. We're going to talk about so many themes. That's one of the reasons why we're here. But just, I just want to give you the praise as well before we jump into everything. Because you're everywhere. You're doing everything. And with all the things you've done, with all the things you continue to do, you're just like the best, most humble dude. And I'm sure I'm not the only person to tell you that. You're one of the friendliest people, one of the first people to just, be that person that you want to walk into a room and meet. So for that, I thank you too.
Thank you, brother. It's just how I was raised, man. To tell you the truth, John, I watch a lot of documentaries on the music industry, and I see how many people treat people so bad in this genre and just in the world, especially when you get in a position of status or power or whatever you want to call it. And, I'm like, man, I'm not going to treat anybody that way. I'm going to treat the janitor how I treat the owner of the building. We're all equal at the end of the day. And as you can see from the way 2024 gone, once you get to a higher point and you start to lose yourself or lose touch, they're going to bring you down. And I don't, the reason why I've been able to stay as consistent as long as I have is just because I try to just treat everybody the same and just work hand in hand. I don't let none of this get to my head. I'm a very confident person, but I'm not an egotistical person. I realize that relationships matter. You matter. Everybody that matters that's in this community, outside this community, everybody matters. And you have to treat everybody the same. I'm going to treat everybody the same with the same humble respect. I respect everybody. And that's just the way I was raised, man. And I think that, when you're an easy person to work with and you're liked, you get around a lot further in life than
Yeah.
trying to, have a upstanding personality or act like this and that, and you lose touch with the culture, you lose touch with yourself. And I just told myself that I would never do that. I told myself that I would never do that. So, I just wanted to treat everybody the same. And, I want to give you your roses as well, man, because you've been a phenomenal friend to me. If anybody don't know this, I'm going to say this publicly. This man has helped me out on a personal level. He's helped me out when I've needed him the most, you know what I mean? When I was battling my health concerns, which I'm still recovering from. And this man was one of the people that, that helped me when I needed him the most. So he will always have my friendship and my loyalty, whatever he needs. I'm always going to be there for him. So salute to you, John, and thank you for all you've done for me as well, man.
Man, to you too. It's just it's been a great ride, my friend, and we're gonna keep doing awesome things and stuff, as they say. And I think we're gonna start talking a little bit about what I would consider the mountain of Monteasy. And what is that? The mountain of Monteasy is all of these different things that you've done. We're gonna speak a lot about the entrance themes and a lot about the music that you've done and the people you've collaborated with. And I think probably the biggest starting point is kind of where we're at now. You have your podcast, you have TZ's Table, you're bringing on all these great guests. You've worked with so many of these phenomenal wrestlers. You've worked with so many awesome musicians too. And it's not just in wrestling. Like, you've done stuff for XFL, you have stuff for NFL, you have or NHL, sorry. And you have so many of these different pools that you've been able to work in and be able to have these connection points with. So what do you attribute to being so versatile and being able to work in so many of these different pockets with so many different people?
This is great question. We spoke a couple days ago about some goals that you have, and the thing and the things that I tell everybody, a strategy that I will give anybody when it comes to this. If I see anybody that's an athlete, a wrestler, basketball player, I say, what kind of song can I write about that person? And it just randomly sticks, and sometimes I will tell you the honest truth. There's not a wrestler that's not on television, and mentally in my head, I don't have a song about it. It's just the way I'm wired. It's just, I've been doing it so long. I just try to say, if I did a Carmelo Hayes rap, how would I do it? If I did a Xylee rap, how would I do it? If I did a LA Knight rap, which shout to Darren Fisher, we did one. How can I do that? If I did a Will Hobbs rap, how would I do it? How would I make it different than the other ones that I did? So a lot of times my brain is like a funnel system of being able to put together, how can I build, my catalog on just creative ideas? And that's how a lot of people ask me, how's my output like this? It's just because I just put shots up. I'm a big, rest in peace Kobe Bryant fan or Michael Jordan fan. And they just always said, just put shots up. You never know what's going to stick. A lot of people, a lot of times as artists, we get stuck into, well, am I getting paid, or is the business? Yes. And you need to get, compensated for your work. But a lot of times as artists, we just have to put shots up. We just have to do it. We just have to put stuff out there. And, you never know what the universe is going to catch on to. You never know what song they're going to catch on to. You don't know. And especially in this music industry with the way things are changing, you just got to put stuff out there. And, sometimes you think that the placement that you're going to do for this big name person is, and you put the marketing dollars behind it and the video and everything is going to do great. And then that might not do as good as one you just randomly did somewhere. And you just did it for a song for a guy in the independents that is on his way up, and that song takes off. You just don't know.
Right.
So I just believe in putting shots up, man. I believe, like, whoever you see, like, it's just, you should have something brewing in your head. And the way that my come up happened was, everybody knows who the rapper Lil Wayne is. So what Lil Wayne did for years, well, he just did mixtape after mixtape and song after song, and he just put out a bunch of free material. He put out a bunch of music, and he just funneled the system with word of mouth. So he just put songs out, mixtapes, free stuff. He did that for years, and there wasn't a time for years where you did not hear a song and you did not hear a Lil Wayne rap. Like, he was everywhere. So I said, okay, when I started this in 2014, I said, okay, there's two ways I can do this. I can either just go, because at the time AEW wasn't around or nothing. It's just WWE. I said, okay, if I'm going to do this, am I going to just try to go to the top WWE route, or am I going to work around them and build in the independents and start from the ground up? So the reason why people can attest to Monteasy, and the reason why my longevity has been the way it is because I started at the very, very ground level with everybody else, with the wrestlers. I was outside of the indie promotions, handing out CDs when CDs was still a relevant thing. I literally was in these cars with these wrestlers, driving to these venues. I literally did the work. I started from the bottom. I didn't just try to network. I literally was in the locker rooms. I was literally helping. I was literally saying, hey, here's free CDs. Hey man, I mean, it could be a wrestler that might have started last week, but hey man, I'm gonna write a theme about you. I printed up CDs. I handed this stuff to him, and I did it just to do it. I didn't make much money off this for 3-4 years. I started 2014. I didn't get like a plus in my income till maybe about 3-4 years later. But I knew what I was doing. I was getting my name out there. And that's what I tell guys, especially now. I'm like, bro, you know how many wrestlers pop up on TV every day? There's tons. Now the indies might not be the same because everybody's signing, but you can look at, I tell anybody on the come up, go on the WWE roster, go to the AEW roster, and think of a song for each and every person you see. And just record it and put it out there. The algorithm will catch it. Things will happen. Things will catch. And, maybe all it takes is one retweet from somebody. All it takes is one Instagram follow from somebody to support it. And you just got to keep putting shots up. There's millions of wrestlers out here if you want to get in that lane. There's millions of hockey players out here. Millions of basketball players out here. So just keep putting shots up. I didn't mean to make that a long-winded answer, but I just wanted to give people some advice and detail on how I did this, so everybody can see that all I did was just record and just put it out there and just see what happens. There was no strategy or no crazy game plan to it until later with marketing, but just keep putting shots up. That's my best advice.
But you know what? You said you didn't have a strategy, but it's kind of like you at least had a game plan of what you were going to do. And the way I've liked to call it, at least within 2024, 2025, shirt coming, ladies and gentlemen, is, just start swinging and keep swinging. Everything that you said was 100% true. And I think about when I started doing wrestling themes. I was doing a podcast in 2019, and we were just trying to figure out ways to grow the show. And all of us had like different skill sets. And I've said this in a couple of different interviews before, but one of the guys was just like, hey, you write music. What about writing entrance themes for wrestlers? And at that point, it was 2019. AEW was just kind of in the murmurs. This was like right before time. And I was like, man, that's a cool idea. There's no way I'm going to be able to do that, though, because when we think about 2019, 2018, we're thinking about WWE. We're thinking, lightly and tangentially maybe about some other promotions. And I remember I was talking to my buddy, Ricky Gibson, at that time, 4 Minutes of Heat, right now, Midnight Heat. And I've been grateful to work on music with them for years and years and years. But I remember asking him, I go, you know what? How do you guys figure out, what music you're going to use? And I remember his answer was something akin to, we just choose a song and we hope we don't get sued. And it was one of those things that was such an eye-opener for me. I was like, well, what would end up happening if, I was writing music for you guys? And like you said, there's compensation to it, sure. But there's also this part of you're becoming part of this industry. You're becoming part of the voice of these people. And I still remember to this day, the first 4 themes I did were for 4 Minutes of Heat, like I said, Midnight Heat now, Christina Marie, Johnny Moran, and Masha Slamovich. Those were the first 4 themes I did. And back then, with Masha Slamovich, it was right when she was on the come up. And she was starting to do something more of the Russian character, and she still kept that to now. But back then, it was very much of that Russian flavor, right? If you go back and listen to it, there's actually Russian composers, and you hear it, and you'll hear that Russian Dynamite if you look it up. Years later, she's going to TNA. And we go, okay, cool, let's go ahead and create another theme. And we're like, all right, we're looking for something closer to like heavier Testament, that kind of thing. So all of a sudden, years go down the line, and Masha and I start working together again. That shows up on TNA. And it's one of these things where it's like, first off, Masha is one of like the coolest people in the world. And I'm really grateful to say that out of all the themes that I've done, most of the wrestlers I've worked with have just been like the coolest people, the best to
Absolutely.
collaborate with, just real nice and just, really about building this community. And it speaks true to what you say, Yours, I think, was a little bit more physical in person going to shows. Mine, I think, was a little bit more on the digital side, but still saying, hey, I want to go ahead and grow our show and I would love to do something for you to help grow your brand too. And the ambassadorship that you get from other wrestlers also helps. Like you said, you may be working with a wrestler who has just started their career, and then all of a sudden, years later, they're continuing to ply their trade, just like you are. You're building these friendships, you're building these relationships. They're going to shows. People are going, oh my God, this is a unique theme. What's happening? Who is this? Oh, it's this person. You have no idea how many people I've gotten to work on themes for, both large names and people who are on the come up and people who are doing it professionally, just from someone saying, oh yeah, John's the guy. Go ahead and go with him.
Absolutely.
One person who I will always put over in any time that I speak to them is Lilith Grimm. Lilith Grimm, we've worked on a theme for, which was probably one of my favorite themes I've done, because at the time she was doing more of like a world gimmick. She had the skull on, super cool stuff. Go check her out, please. And she wanted something that was a little bit more world music and a little bit more of like that kind of chanty, more kind of culty is what I like to call it, a little bit like that really kind of dark stuff. And she was like, oh, I want this instrument called the hurdy-gurdy. And I go, all right, cool. I don't play that instrument. It's a crazy Saturn instrument. So I had to go online, look for a hurdy-gurdy player. And apparently the one I came across was from this huge band named Eluvati, who I've been listening to since like high school.
Right.
And, it became one of these things where now that's a relationship. All right, cool. Now Mihalina and I are friends. And it's been like, you just are able to grow just by starting to put yourself out there.
Absolutely.
And say, hey, I can do this. I want to work with you. And then you just keep growing that. And so long as, like, going back to what you said before, you're being respectful, you're doing your best work, and you're just continuing to grow this community, not just for you, but for others. That's a huge part of how you grow and get more entrance themes to become a bigger part of a community. So when someone goes, I need a theme, people are talking about you in the room when you're not even there.
Absolutely. And I tell people, man, still to this day, I don't care how many ads you run, how many billboards you try to get, ad placements you try to get, there's still no better promotion than word of mouth.
Yeah.
If I tell you something as a friend to check something out, you're more than likely going to check it out more than just looking at an ad that just goes down your Instagram that you're just going to scroll by anyway. So I think that it's a direct hand-to-hand thing with communication and being able to make it. And a lot of people ask me, what keeps you doing this after all this time? What keeps you pushing with you being, one of the most known guys doing this? And honestly, it's because I love it now more than I did before, simply because I know that I've stood the test of time, and more now because I'm able to help others, to help build, you know what I mean, to help give back. The one thing I know about this culture, especially in the wrestling culture, you definitely, once you get to a certain point, you have to give back. And that's just an adage of life. It's the law of, the law of great return. If I'm going to get a blessing, I'm going to make sure I bless others. And it's just good karma, man. I just really believe in that. I believe that, networking, working together, and doing it because you love it and the spirit of it will always keep you around. Like, really, I've been doing phenomenal, just even in my numbers and just, and the consistency that has been. Some places it's even grown because, the name has grown. So when it comes to that promotion, it's just all about making great relationships and being able to build.
And it's also like, you think about all the placements that you've had. You think about all the places your music has been played. You just had your music on the Tokyo Dome. You just had it at Final Battle. Sammy Guevara, who we're going to talk about, has had his music with you forever, including the other version of the theme. You've been everywhere. You've had your music in so many different places. And, for me, I always remember, like, talking to Kevin of It Lives, It Breathes, talking to you. And whenever we see each other's music out there in these different places, first text I get is either from you or Kevin or, anyone who's done this. And it's just like, dude, congrats. And it's the same thing for me. Like, all of a sudden, of course your music is playing at the Tokyo Dome because you guys are doing awesome. It's just this big kind of party back and forth of everyone just being like, look at what we're doing. Like, it's crazy. I don't know, man. Me and, like, middle school and high school wouldn't have even thought of, like, any of this happening.
Me neither.
And then all of a sudden everyone's just talking and being like, dude, congrats to you. You're like, oh, congrats to you. Look at where your stuff is.
Yeah,
That's
man.
cool.
I think, and I think too, I think we keep each other motivated because it's you have to help each other and use each other in great vessels and great ways to keep the fire lit, because sometimes when you've already seen, it's funny because I know you get this as well. You see so many artists that ask you, how do you do this? And how can I do it? It's like, man, it's a unique thing. It's all momentum based. I tell people this, this is a momentum based world. If you have great momentum, if you have one, keep dropping, do another, build relationships, keep building, keep putting in the work. And I think that, but also too, I think once you get to a certain level, like, Mikey Ruckus, like yourself, like me, you need stuff to keep your fire lit. And that's where collaboration works with. That's why I love the records that we did together. That's why I love connecting people so other people can do, great music together and build great networks, because that's what it's all about. It's about taking what you have and being able to build on it in this, because people think, well, man, I'm just gonna, how'd you do that? Okay, well, this is how I did it. Okay, so if I get this song and it ends up on TV, am I gonna make $1 million? It don't work that way, brother. But what it does do is that it builds your network and it builds opportunity for other things, and people have to realize in other places, there's millions of movies in movie companies, from independent, Tubi, whatever.
Yeah.
Really, logistically, in the wrestling industry, there's only 2 companies that's really going to pay you. And we both know this. We both know what we're talking about. So you have to leverage this the right way. And if you do do stuff in the indies, you just have to negotiate with a lot of the wrestlers who have working day jobs like everybody else. And you got to negotiate with the wrestler if you are going to do a certain rate or something like that. And, work hand in hand with them, or try to get to the bigger companies and then work out something with them, which is more of a political thing and fighting for what you think you're worth. And, it's a lot behind it, but it's just knowing the business, having fun with it, and keeping each other inspired. You keep me inspired. Mikey keeps me inspired. Josiah Williams keeps me inspired. And, now with me building a network of artists that I'm working with, that's with my network of tree that I've helped bring up. Now they keep me motivated. They keep that fire lit as well too. So,
and the other part too that I think goes under the radar, but you're kind of touching on it here too. I've been reached out to people, and I know you have too, and they ask you, how do you do this? Or this is what I'm thinking, or can I chew your ear off about the industry? And I remember one time I reached out to Mikey just about some advice on just the engineering side. And you're always concerned, and at least for me and a bit of the other kind of music side of the industry that I've been in over the last decade or so, you're kind of afraid to ask people about, oh, well, what would you do here? Or am I thinking of this the right way? Because everyone's like, well, you're coming for my spot, right? And the thing is, the unwritten rule is that there are no spots. You make your own spot, and as you continue to grow, you figure out your lane, you figure out what you do.
Tell it, John. Tell it. You're preaching.
Yeah. And being able to have people in this industry who it's like, oh, here's what I'm thinking. Here's what I should charge. Here's how I should go about this. Here's something to think about when I'm writing this theme. Here's something to watch out for. All these different things. People have asked me that, and people that I'm just like, wait, you've been doing this. Like, you should really, you're coming to me. That's pretty cool. And, it just helps you not just figure out the way that you're doing things, but it also helps you align in a way kind of the industry. Like, oh, you did this for this person. Is that how it's supposed to be? Well, this is kind of how I do it. Oh, we do this the same way. Oh, I did this a little bit differently. I approached it like this. I approach all these things kind of, oh, okay, well, this is what you do. And it kind of, I don't want to use the word standardizes because maybe I just did, but what it does is it helps level the playing field for everybody. And if someone does one thing, it's like, oh, well, try this. There are some people who I talk to about when it comes to, how to charge and things like that. I have a certain way that I go about it, and I tell people, this is what's worked for me. This is what makes most sense and how you can really grow. Whenever you write a theme for somebody, it's going with them. But you can use that to do a lot of things. You can do your own socials. You can make a music video for those. You can make a visualizer. You can really put a lot of yourself and put everything behind that brand and grow it too.
Yep.
And I think that, the more everyone's connecting and finding out what everyone's doing, like you brought up These Wolves before, Darren Fisher, like the covers of the songs he's done for Liv Morgan, the covers of the song he did for Adam Page, the one you did with him with LA Knight, these are all banger tracks, right? So he goes and does videos for him. He does the visualize, he puts them up. The MJF version that he's done, I would always argue, I'm pretty sure that they were singing the lyrics to his song at Wembley or one of the big shows. I know people just do the da-da-da-da-da-da, but I'm almost positive that even though that's not the theme he uses in AEW, like with Darren's version, your boy's almost positive that he's heard those lyrics coming through the speakers before.
Right.
I don't know. I'm just saying, like, you put those things out there, you do the work, you put it, and like you said, you have no idea where it's going to go, but that also comes from talking to people and being like, hey, would you recommend doing this? And a lot of the times, unless it's like some crazy, like, I don't think that's a good idea to approach it like that. Most of us are just like inspiring each other and motivating each other and being like, hey, yeah, try that because that could work. And then let us know how it went and we'll see what else we could do. Yeah, it's so cool.
You know what's funny? I said this because I look at it and I look everything in relation to sports in many ways because
yeah.
Music and sports have a lot of direct correlation when it comes to certain things. Like when it comes to yourself, when it comes to me, Mega Ran, if there's or you could look at it in baseball, basketball, football, if there's a Pro Bowl for the NFL or the NBA All-Star game, us three are starting every year, bro. We're starting players on the team every year. So with that being said, we have to find ways to be able to branch out and help others, and not only help others, but just come up with a system, because there is no system. There is no direct. There's not like John and Monteasy started a talent agency and together they split it 50-50. I handle the hip hop side, you handle the other genres, and
Right.
we come up with this system of this is what you should be charging, this is what you should be doing. It's all a connection base and a feel, and then you got to learn how to market it. But
Yeah.
I always tell people too that, and I have to be real here, the people that are coming up after us, I think, when we decide to hang it up, I do think, depending on where the wrestling industry is, it's going to be a little tougher for them to try to reinvent the wheel. I think they will, but it's going to be a little tougher because you see what Josiah Williams has done. Like, you see what he's done when he first came out, what Josiah Williams did. That was innovative. You see what you have done, which has been innovative. You see what I did which is just a work ethic approach, which was innovative. You even see, when I put my brother Anthony Kenyon in, and then you see what he did with the character, with the AEW character. That wasn't done. So, and seeing where the wrestling industry is, where now hip hop and wrestling and music and wrestling is kind of becoming the thing. Yeah. That next crop of guys are going to have to do some really innovative stuff. And I'm not saying they can't. I'm rooting for them to do it, and I believe they will. But it's just you're going to have to take what we've all done and remix it and put it in a way to where, okay, these guys did it this way. How can I get to this level, but how can I try to do it a different way? Like, we're all vessels of our inspirations. Like, we're all vessels of our inspiration. We take a little bit of everybody we're inspired by and just make that our own. Like, like, my inspirations like Nas and Keanu Reeves and a lot of people, like, just different things. And I just put all that into either my demeanor, my personality, my look, or anything like that. So I think that the next crop of people, like I said, I'm looking. So anybody out there for the Ropes and Wrist podcast, for you young man or you young woman out there that is watching this, and that young kid that is a huge wrestling fan and loves music, you guys have an opportunity to take this to a whole new level. You have to be innovative, and with the way technology and the way AEW is growing and WWE is growing, it's possible. I am rooting for you, and I believe you can do it. But you have to be innovative with today's world, and you have to work hard. The work ethic you're going to have to put into this is going to be incredible, and you're going to have to take what John has done. You're going to have to take what Mega Ran's done, what I've done, Josiah, you name it, Mikey Ruckus, whoever, and you're just going to have to find a way to build it. And I believe it's possible. But you're just gonna have to find that niche to make it different than what we've done. Which I'm rooting for.
And I think you feel that support from everybody. I know I'm rooting for him. I know Mikey's rooting for him. I know you're rooting for him. I know everyone's rooting, and it's like we just want to see it continue to grow. I know for me, I kind of created this brand around the Wrestling Entrance theme song composer. I know you have Theme Song King. Yours is much better, I think, in terms of people saying Theme Song King than Wrestling Entrance theme song composer. I'll shorten that at some point to something, but like,
let me say this. Let me say this. I'm going to say this because it was a brand that a brand that I didn't, whether it's Mega Ran, whether it's you, we're all kings. We're all kings. And we're all kings, even back from the early civilization days. Every king had they ruled their own land. You had food, I had gold. We traded. You know what I mean? Hey, John does the farms, man. We have gold over here. They need gold to build their civilization. I don't know if anybody out there is, this might be nerdy of me, but I'm going to say it. If you played the video game Age of Empires and you started with one person and you build a colony with that, and, you had ally groups when you build that team. You had ally bases. You know what I mean? You had, you built with your allies. So you would go and you would trade wood with that colony. And I would have food, or John would have gold, and the other person would have stone. And everybody traded with each other to keep the colonies moving. But everybody had their own kings, and that ran their own domain. And you, with what you're doing, you're a king in your domain, and myself and Mega Ran, that's all that the branding was to show people that we all could be kings in this. And I never wanted it to be something to where it seems like, because when I first started saying that, a lot of people, you know how this is, man. Everybody gets competitive, and they took it as, oh man, it wasn't that. It was saying,
no, not at all. Yeah.
It was saying, hey, we're all kings, and it might have been considered a bold statement at the time, but it was just a marketing thing and a thing to help build it up with the work ethic that was being put in. So when people say that, I'm like, no, everybody has a share in the land, because I'm necessarily just in the hip hop and the hip hop rock stage. We need a John out there, kill it, because he does something that I don't do. There's a lot of people that, bring so much to this culture. There's a lot of people that bring different things. And also too, you have to learn how to pass the ball as well.
Yeah.
I think that, I take pride in developing Swerve as an artist. I take pride in bringing Anthony King in. I take pride in Rich Lotta. I take pride in these people that, I might have made a phone call or help develop or help, build their network, because
Yeah,
that's what
man.
it's all about. And you can only do so much by yourself. There's only
Right.
so far you can go literally by yourself before you reach a limit. And you need allies, you need teammates to help build what you're trying to do. If you try to do everything by yourself, or if you don't have that network, it's gonna mess. You're only gonna go but so far, because you know how this industry is. You get to the top, and then everybody gets used to you.
Right.
And I believe in the Chris Jericho effect. Like, I've had 5, 6 different monikers this whole time. Like, and because I believe in reinventing yourself, and I learned that from Chris Jericho, when from Y2J to the List to the serious guy with the suit to what I mean, the Ocho to what I mean,
Yeah.
the pain maker. Like, he did that, so that's what I did. Theme Song King was the very first thing I did. Then it was the Titan. Then it was Swerve City Teasy, where I just rap with Swerve, and I built that group, Swerve City. Then it was the Theme Song King, the Titan, Swerve City, and now I'm in Lord Raiden mode, where it's like I'm Lord Raiden, Swerve is Liu Kang, and I literally was like, hey, you're the one that needs to win the tournament, and I'm kind of like, I'm established, I'm here. There's nothing I can do that people that say, oh man, So that's in the wrestling world. That's the way I look at it. So it's like, hey,
Right.
if I'm Lord Raiden, I need to build a army of people that can help win the tournament. I'm already here. So now I need to get, I need my Kung Lao. I need my Kung Lao. I need my Sonya Blade. I need, you know what I mean? I need the people to
Absolutely.
participate.
Yeah.
Johnny Cage. I need those people to participate. That's the only way this is going to grow. So I look at this from a Mortal Kombat aspect. I'm the hugest Mortal Kombat fan. So that's how I look at it. So the Lord Raiden thing, like I now just built a group called we're going to be called Lord of Mortals, and it's the song that played on Ring of Honor was a group. They do synth, singing, drums, guitar. They're a synth band called Immortal Girlfriend. I just got them
Yep.
their first placement in wrestling, so now we're working on some projects together, and it's a totally different thing that hasn't been done in wrestling with the sound. The sound hasn't been done before, so
Yeah.
now this gives me an opportunity to be able to do something else and really dive into what Lord Raiden is, something separate from just the pure hip hop side. So it's you always have to reinvent yourself. You always have to do something that is unique, that is different, and find new ways to do it. Like Prince and Chris Jericho are the greatest at that. Prince would always, even though he was putting out like an album a year, sometimes 2 albums a year, he would always switch something up every
Right.
time. His haircut, the way he looked, his sound, he always switched something up. And to be a legend of that ilk and to be out since the late 70s to when he passed away, Prince always reinvented something. Something he made a tweak. David Bowie, I'm gonna add
Yeah.
him too. David Bowie was phenomenal at that, at switching up something every single
Yeah.
time. He every album or every couple of years he would just switch. He would go through the years where he was wearing the makeup and the tight clothes, and then David Bowie will switch into just being in the suit with the haircut, just in the suit.
Right.
Then he will switch to, to another aesthetic or a mixture. He always had something. So
Yeah.
it's about reinventing. It's about reinventing yourself as well. So that's where the whole Theme Song King thing started from, and just being able to build brands, but to also let you know that we're all kings as well.
And I love that. And I think that now we got to start talking about specifically some of the themes that you've worked on and some of the ones that you're most known for. We'll be here for a while, ladies and gentlemen, if we talk about all of them. But We got a couple that we're going to really dive into first.
Thank
And
you.
let's start off with that Final Battle one first, because one day I'm sitting at home watching Final Battle, and all of a sudden you post, hey, check out what they did. And then AEW and Ring of Honor are like, oh, check out this new song with you and Immortal Girlfriend. So I know that you said you started working with them recently, and you're going to be doing some more with them. But how do you get the call to have a song done for Final Battle? Let's go over that.
Well, um, I'm not the kind of person that tries to abuse my connects. I am a person that believes in timing. And I'm not the kind of person to be like, oh man, I need a song on, hey man, can I get this song played on this pay-per-view, and this pay-per-view, and this pay? No, I get my voice heard a lot, and I don't want to drown it out. You know what I mean? So
Sure.
my voice gets heard a lot all over the world, all the time. So this record, I said, okay, I want to do something for Ring of Honor on their biggest show, but I want to make sure it's the right record, and I want to make sure that when I contact, AEW, that it's a record that makes sense, and it's not just me just trying to have my voice heard, just sending stuff. Nah, I'm gonna go some time. I'm gonna go a period of time. They'll hear me on the Sammy record. Everything is about timing. I have this study down to psychology. I literally have this down to a science on psychology, and I thoroughly believe that when I'm done, I'm going to write a book on this. And it's going to be ebook. So anybody that wants to learn about this lane and things like that, you can either hit me up for a consultation. But I think when I write this book and I'm out the game and I'm done, I can help really other people with this. So
Yeah.
really, the song came about. A Motor Girlfriend. We made a great record, one of my favorite records I've done in a while. And then I hit them up and I said, hey man, can you guys play this? It's called Final Battle. It's about Ring of Honor, but also about, being able to, overcome things in life. And then they said, yeah, we'll get it through the avenues. And if we like it, we'll use it. And then in typical AEW fashion, during the night before the show, Mikey hit me up. And he said, hey, we want to play it. Can you approve it? And I'm like, yeah, send everything over. So I hit up a Motor Girlfriend. I told them, they was ecstatic about it. And I'm like, and they were like, okay, it's a go. That I didn't think it was going to be played because I didn't hear anything. I sent it to them a couple weeks ago, and you know how the music industry is. You can send something, you're like, okay, they didn't use it, and you just move on. But I got a call from Mikey literally a day before, a few hours actually before the show. Hey, you want to use it? Okay, cool. Let's do it. So that's really how it goes. But I don't try to do that all the time. I don't.
Right. And it sounds like you had the idea of, okay, this was representative of, I created the song and I thought it would be a good fit. So you know what? Let me at least pitch it to them. Worst case scenario, they don't use it. They say, hey, thanks. They listen to it and they're inspired by it. Best case scenario, they turn around and they say, hey, you wrote this about Ring of Honor, about Final Battle, about, like you said, the come up and everything. So you know what? If we want to use it, let's go ahead and use it. So you're just putting yourself out there. But I think it's important to say, you're not pitching songs all the time. You're, like you said, you're figuring out, okay, cool, this is coming up, this is the track I got. Let me go ahead and drop it here because I think it makes sense for what we're doing.
Yep. That's it. It's all strategy. It's not trying to, a lot of people try to, oh man, let me submit one for All In. Let me submit one for All Out. Let me submit one for, Grand Slam. Let me submit. Nah, I wouldn't do that. I would I would try to record some stuff, see what the best record is, and then 6 months, a year down the line, if you see a spot that you think it works, then submit it, and for that one particular occasion, and see what happens.
Yeah.
See what comes out of it. You never know. But I don't abuse it. You know what I mean? I don't at all. I don't. Okay, I did one for Ring of Honor. Well, time to shoot for the next AEW pay-per-view. Nah, you can't do that. It doesn't work that way. So that was the strategy behind that. But I really, really love that record. I look forward to doing more with them. And me and you got to lock in on a project as well. We need to do a full project together, bro. Just EP. Me and you need to lock in on something.
Yeah, we talked about it last year, and for me, I'm just like, I just got to be able to lock in and get some songs done, and yeah, let's do it this year.
Yeah,
Let's make it happen.
let's do it.
So,
Let's do it. 2025, man. Let's try to get an EP out together, bro.
yeah, I would love that. And it's just so cool that you're talking about it from a perspective of like, hey, here's a song I wrote about something that I'm really passionate about, you know? You're talking about that final battle theme, and you're also saying like, hey, here's a song that was about this and about everything that that pay-per-view represents. A little bit different, obviously, than working with someone like Sammy Guevara, who you've done a couple of themes for now. Obviously, the biggest one that is going to come to most people's minds is Take Flight. With that theme, that's the theme that everyone has heard on AEW. Was that a theme that he had come to you before time and said, hey, I'm going to AEW, so I need a theme, and you worked on that with him? Or was it something that he started using a little bit before time, and then as he got signed to AEW was like, hey, we're going to go ahead and do this. I'm taking this theme with me. How did that process work? And then just when you start working with him, what's the process in terms of getting the song where he needs it to be also?
Yes, great question. So Sammy was a situation where he heard my name before, and obviously through his friendship with Swerve, he's like, "Yo, man, I need you to make this theme for me." So I asked him. I said, "Huh, how do you want this to sound?" And he's like, "I just wanted to, to be like, I just want to come from my moment. I just want my moment. I want the song just to be about the feeling, how I feel, how I'm feeling my rise to the top and my come up." So, obviously he was at the inception of AEW when it first started.
Yep.
So I recorded it, and I went through a lot of different music, and I was like, oh, how is this going to work? How is that going to work? Okay. So then when I found that beat that sound like space, like, the beat sounds like you're like in outer space, kind of like in an atmospheric sound. So I said, okay, I'm gonna use this. Funny thing is, he's told the story before, and I get a random phone call from Mikey before AEW even starts, and he's like, "Hey, man, we want to use the record." Sammy was kind of like, about it at first because he didn't know. But the person that told him to use it, and I will always give him his praise, was Cody Rhodes.
Oh, wow.
Cody Rhodes told him it was a hit record. Cody Rhodes said, you need to use this. This is a hit song. So I am forever in debt to Cody for saluting that, for giving Sammy the vote of confidence and telling him this is the one. This is the record. And, it's phenomenal that Cody did that Sammy has kept his relationship with me. He's one of my good friends in this. He's a great brother. Him and Ty and Tay and just everything, Ty, whatever, they are great. They are great people. They are great people, and I am, grateful for them and the relationship I've had with Sammy. Obviously, we shot the music video Energy together. And, it was just a lot of fun to be able to build this relationship with him. I think if you are a artist and you could find 2 or 3 wrestlers that you can just build that relationship with, where they come to you and they trust you, and you can maintain that brotherhood or brother sisterhood thing or family dynamic, then it's great. I believe every artist should have at least 2 or 3 go-tos where you guys just stick together through it, and they come to you for the catalog, they trust you, and you build that rapport with them. So Sammy, it's been phenomenal, man. That record's been played everywhere. Like you said, just played in New Japan, the mashup with Dustin Rhodes, and to see Dustin Rhodes and Sammy coming out to something that your voice is on, that feeling never goes away, man. It's phenomenal to be honest. Honestly, I was half asleep. I wasn't even watching the show. And Rich Latta messages me. He said, "Hey, yo, man, your song just played in New Japan." I'm like, word? Because as far as what I know, Kevin Knight's been using my theme over there. So I was like, okay, that's dope.
Yeah.
But then I said, word? He's like, yeah, I'm watching it right now. Sammy and Dustin just came out. I said, okay, I got to post about this. I said, Oh man, I gotta market this. Oh man, I gotta get in my marketing bag because that's legendary.
So just for everyone too that sits there and says, "Oh, everyone knows so far in advance when these things are coming out, and all of us have these giant marketing plans." Remember, Final Battle happened a couple hours before time, and Monteasy found out basically as it was happening that they were using his theme in New Japan. It ain't always planned, ladies and gentlemen. Just so you know. Sometimes we just got that post that goes quick up, and we're like, "Hey, that's really cool. Thanks for telling me, guy."
Yeah, absolutely, man. But it's a blessing. Here's
Yeah.
the thing, bro. It's a blessing to still want to be heard after all this time.
Yeah.
Because you go through these points where people get tired of you. And we're in a society where people get tired of the winners. They get tired of people that's constantly winning or successful. And, people like to root for the underdog a lot of the times, which is just the way the world is. But for me to be at the level that I am, but people still want to hear my voice, still hear what I have to say after all this time. Next month on the 28th, February 20th, will be 11 years that I'm here.
Oof,
and
man.
to still be relevant, to still be sought after, to still have my music played 11 years later, I never would have thought this. All this was random. It was not I'm going to make theme song. It was a random idea. It just popped in my head and it changed my life. It was not no plan where I was like watching Stone Cold Steve Austin in the 5th grade and said, I want to do this. I had all the WWF, the music albums like everybody else did. I was singing the D-Lo Brown Danger at the Door theme song. I was singing the Wolfpack, which still to this day, disclaimer, out of every single hip-hop song I've made, I have never made a song better than the NWO Wolfpack. Never. And I never will. But, nothing will be more monumental than that howl and than that beat. And I've made some great songs, but that's still the GOAT to me. But I think that, it's just all about it's all about building those relationships. And also too, you don't know, like I said, I didn't know the New Japan thing was happening. I didn't know the Ring of Honor thing was happening until the day before. You just don't know. And I think that people just have to trust the work that they're putting in and being able to figure out, okay, how can I take this and capitalize on it? A lot of people don't know how to capitalize on it. They'll post, hey, I did the song for this person, and then they don't capitalize on it, and it's just, it's great because I'm just grateful that I'm still here. I'm grateful that I'm still wanted, grateful that I'm still respected. There's no scandalous stuff coming out of my name. There's nothing. I don't have any issues with nobody. I'm just grateful to be here. And I'm blessed, man. I'm blessed to still want to be heard.
And I think that if we kind of tie that all back into Sammy Guevara's theme, the Take Flight one, I think you nailed the lyrics on this for what he was looking for too. And I think that's a testament to, you getting inside what he's looking to bring out. I've been pushing for many moments like this. This time is undervalued and no one could ever miss. This is my chance moment of bliss. Like all that kind of stuff is so in the pocket of, if you think about where Sammy was at that point and even where he is now, he's still one of these guys that while he is you can consider him long-term AEW, but in the wrestling industry, he's still getting his name out there. You have people in this industry for 15, 20 years and whatnot, and he's somebody who, he comes to you, he ends up saying, I want people to know that I'm on the come up. I want them to know that I'm going to make the best of this opportunity. And then you've got this song, and he's been a bad guy. Yeah, but when you hear the lyrics there, it's less about him being a good guy or a bad guy and more about him recognizing, okay, cool, like at this point in time where I am, I need to be able to show people that it is my time. I need to show people that I'm not going to get trounced on from like all the bigger names. Like this is my moment to really let you know who I am and that I'm here and I'm grateful for this moment. I think those lyrics really reflect that.
Thank you, bro. Thank you, man. Honestly, I wrote that song in like 5 minutes, bro.
That's how it happens sometimes.
I'm not saying that to
All
be
right.
bashful, bragging or anything. That's one of them songs where it just came to me, and I wrote that song literally in it took like 10 minutes. I was like, I feel this.
Yeah.
And then there's certain songs where you sit with like 3 days, you be like, damn. Like,
Oh, yeah.
what am I gonna do? Like my writing process has kind of changed. Like everybody wants to know like what's the recording process, the writing process. It's literally, I will go to the studio because I do have my own studio, but I don't use it as much. So I'll book a studio session and I'll book an hour time. And I'm so used to recording, I could do like 6 songs in an hour.
Right.
5, 6 songs. 5, 6. There's times in the studio I've gone in the studio with six beats in an hour. And I got to record 6 songs in an hour, and I'll do it. Hook, verse, sometimes 2 verses. I'm just cranking them out. Them out.
Yeah.
And it's just, but certain songs, like what Sammy's song took that, or like a song that took a while for me to do was when Swerve was using my theme Swerve in like 2017, 18. That song was the longest theme I took because Swerve has a very particular ear. So this is before he was even making music. And when I did that song with him, that song took about 3-4 months to make. And it's never taken this long to do a song, but it ended up being what it was. So you just got to go off feeling, bro. You just got to go off feeling in this. You have to.
Oh, yeah. And you know what, though? Like, there are some songs that take that short time. I remember that I've told this a couple times. There was one theme I did for Championship Wrestling where it was like, oh, we need a theme. When do you need it? Half hour. Oh, damn. All right. And for me, I'm sitting there going, all right, let's stack the orchestra. Let's stack the beat. Here we go. But you know what? The thing I always tell people about some of those quicker turnaround ones, you do what you know, and you do what you know is going to work, right? And I'm not saying you have this. You're saying it took you 10 minutes to write that song. It's not like it sounds like you had a time constraint. But when you have something that just flows, you run with it. If you've got a time constraint and someone's got a project for you and you're like, hey, I need it within this time, that's the point where you can still be creative with it. But you really put the blinders on and you go, all right, this is what it's not going to be. This is what it's going to be. I'm going to use this term that I use with a lot of my students too. I classify music into 2 genres a lot of the times. I classify it into art music and work music. And it doesn't mean that the work music can't be artistically fulfilling, but what the difference for me between work music and art music is art music, you could take as long as you want. You could sit on a song for 5 years. You can make all the little tweaks you want. You can do all that kind of stuff. But once you start putting a deadline on something, even if it's a piece of music that you want to put out, you put a goal and say, you know what? I got like 6 months to throw this album together. I got a week to throw this together. Someone comes to you and says, hey, I need this done in a couple weeks or in like a day or an hour. That's the work music. And in that's where you take all of this experience that you have, all these different things you've come to experience in your life with music, and you go, all right, who's this? What's the project? What are we doing? Let's roll. And it's, for those who haven't tried to do that, where you have that kind of barometer or that kind of ceiling, it's really cool to try that, because sometimes you get into that mode where as a creative, and this happens to me, and this happened to me years earlier in my career a lot more, you'll sit down at your computer and go, or anywhere you are with your instrument and go, I can do everything, which means that you're going to do everything. So it becomes this paralysis of you're going to do absolutely nothing.
Right.
So when all of a sudden you put these things in your head where you're like, all right, cool, this is the kind of thing I'm doing. Here's what it's going to be. That also gives you that freedom to go, well, what if I tried this here? Oh, that's really cool. Going back to what you said before about innovation. Oh, okay, well, this is the kind of thing we're doing. All right, what if I threw this in here? What if I'm working on a piece that's for Championship Wrestling? It needs orchestra and all this kind of stuff. Well, what can I do a little bit differently? Maybe I throw this guitar line on it. Oh, you don't hear that all the time. That's pretty cool. Now it becomes unique. But you use all of this kind of restriction, or rather this ceiling is what we'll call it, to be able to say, you know what? Here's what works, and here's what it is. And I'm not saying that you had that restriction, but you know what? If you're writing a song, same thing, the art piece takes you 10 minutes. Hey, don't complain about the process. That's totally cool.
Absolutely, man.
Now, we'll talk a little bit, too, about Shane Taylor Promotions, because at different iterations in our career, we've worked with Shane Taylor on different themes.
Yes, we
right?
have. Yes, we have. Yes, we have.
Yep. When he first came into Ring of Honor and came into AEW, he was using a theme that Monster Tarver, his son, and I had worked on together. And then he ended up using the theme, which is just a banger theme that you have for him now. How did that process start of putting together that specific theme? Because out of anybody that, again, I've worked with so many people, you've worked with so many people, Shane Taylor, strap him up, man. Put the title on him. Do whatever you gotta do. Strap that boy up, man. He's awesome. He's so good. How did that process come with starting the Shane Taylor Promotions theme, and what was your kind of mentality with writing the lyrics and working on that piece?
Well, so I first started working with Shane in Ring of Honor because I did his theme different, and then he went. I did different. Then he did Lions in the Jungle, I believe, with you guys. Shout out to Tarver. You got that theme's phenomenal. You guys ace that shit. Sorry for language. Incredible record you guys did.
And real quick, I'm just gonna do a sidebar on that before you keep going.
Yes.
Shout out to Tarver's son also, because with me and Tarver, we take a lot of the credit for that. I'm grateful for the work that I did on it, but his son doesn't get enough credit for that. I just want to always put him over because that beat is awesome. Everything he did on that was just so good. I'm sorry, I just wanted to put him over real quick. Keep going with you and doing the Shane Taylor stuff. Yeah.
So he wanted to make something that sounded like an anthem towards what his vision was for Shane Taylor Promotions. So he called me, and people don't realize that Shane Taylor actually could write music if he wanted to, because when we did different, he kind of, I don't talk the way I like, I just fight the way I like. He gave me that. That's what he wanted me to say.
That's awesome.
Then when it came to this, he said, just STP. He said, I just wanted to be about my group and the promotion that I'm trying to build. And I said, okay. I said, you know what? Cool. We'll do that. So I got with Grammy nominated producer Mike Snell, who's phenomenal. He's a dope producer. And I said, all right, man, let me get you with Shane, to help your brand, let me get you with a Grammy nominated producer to help your brand, and let's make this. So me and Mike Snell was in the studio, and this is one of the first few times that when we were recording together, we co-wrote it together. He produced me. He actually produced me.
Oh, wow.
And I literally didn't write it down. I was just saying it. I was like, Shane Taylor Promotions, Ben Sosa, right hand. And I was like, we was trying to figure out the right line together. It was like, right hand. He said, how about, I said, something right hand, something devotion. He's like, no. He said, what about commotion? He said, try commotion. Shane Taylor Promotion, stepping in the ring, I'm explosive, right hand, and the commotion. And then he's like, okay, stop there. So then, if you can hear it in the recording, if you have a trained ear, that I'm going line for line in the recording. Listen to the song, and this is a nugget. You guys go listen to STP, and you will hear the breaks of me going line for line in the song. But that's how we did it. We went line for line. I didn't have my phone and just wrote it down and just went Shane Taylor Promotion, stepping in the ring, out explosive, right hand, and the I didn't do that. Everything was off memory. I didn't write none of it down. So it was Shane Taylor Promotion, stepping in the ring, I'm explosive. Okay, stop there. Right hand and the commotion, making waves like the ocean. Okay. Then we stop. Go to sleep. No, we causing hypnosis. Then he's like, I like that. And then we just kept going, line for line. Leave the pen, and your way, and your pain, you'll be hoping. Competition of smoking. At the end, you'll be saying my slogan. And it literally we was just going line for line, repeating it. And then when we did the STP part, we literally did parts where I was in front of the mic. He went into all the way in the back to the studio and went, STP. Like we're just in different parts of the studio yelling STP in different spots. You know what I mean? In different areas of the studio. Yeah. One of the funnest studio sessions I've ever had making a theme song, because it was one of the first times I was actually being produced, and it wasn't just the Monteasy way.
Right.
You know what I mean? It was great because I got to cohabitate and work together in writing this together, which was a lot of fun. So when he heard it, he loved it. He loved the beat. It sounded like a marching band, like an army. And I look forward to doing that. Hopefully I get to do that live someday. Hopefully.
Yeah.
That's the one thing I really want to do for that one, is do that live for Shane T, because I believe in him. I believe that he has something special. And I think that, it really, really can be done. Hopefully, hopefully we can get you involved, get like a live band, get you on that guitar thing, get you on that thing too. Just
Anytime. Love it.
just get everybody involved. I just want to make this a live experience for us to have fun. Segue, guys. John was supposed to be on the Take Flight entrance. For some reason I pitched, because Sammy wanted a live band, I wanted a live band, but they just wanted me to do it, and I was so down. I was like, damn, John, I apologize, brother. Like, we were that close. We were this close to getting the live band performance of Take Flight. And who knows? Maybe the universe will happen again someday and we'll be able to have the band. Who knows what'll happen with the way the universe works? Sammy, AEW, one other performance, and it'll happen. Who knows?
Or we just go ahead and put together our version too. Throw up a video for it. The guys, all of us get together.
You know what, brother?
There.
You're speaking my language, good sir. We don't need their approval. We can do it ourselves, brother.
That's right.
Let's do it. I like that idea. I like that idea.
I would love that, man. And you know what? It would give a different flair to it too, because you'd obviously have the vibes of Take Flight up front, but then you'd also have like these rock elements with a little bit of the heavier guitars and live drums. Dude, it could be a totally different take on it. And that may also give Sammy some ideas, which is super cool too.
I'll come up, man. I will travel up there just to do that.
Yeah, let's make it happen. And the other thing I want to bring up too is when you were talking about how you were in the studio for Shane Taylor's theme, you were like, "Oh man, like we went to the other side of the room. We were doing all this different stuff." It's so cool. It's something that I wish I did more, because I kind of do everything out of my main home studio here. A lot of the times I'm bringing in people from other places or sending me the files afterwards. And so for me, if you hear something like those gang vocals or something like that, more than likely, that's me sitting in the studio with like 10 tracks of me just saying it over and over, throwing effects on it, doing all that, and be like, oh my God, it sounds so massive. It's like, yep, it's this mic and that computer. But when you actually get to sit there and you go, you know what? Like, we're going to go to different parts of the room. You're actually going to get what the room sounds like, and you're going to make it feel, it has a different feeling and a different dynamic. And, you know, you were talking about like how you were parsing this together, how it was line by line by line. And that's a huge way that a lot of producers work. When we did Dragon Lee's theme pre-WWE, which Dragon Lee, we're going to be working on something else for you. I will always be working for you, and I hope we can get something cleared up for WWE. TZ and I, we got you. We always got you. You know that. And when we put that theme together, man, I think this is how it's been with a couple of themes that we've worked on. I sent you the track. You sent me some passes of you doing some things, and then you're just like, place it where you think. I'm like, place it where I think? I'm like, it sounds great. I can place it anywhere. It's going to sound awesome. But I like that process. It's a process a little bit different for me too, where we'll hop on the phone. I'm like, all right, cool. I'm placing it here, here, and here. You got the hooks. You already know what you're doing there. And it's just a really cool process. For me, probably one of my favorite themes I've done with you and done in general was the Dragon Lee theme.
One of my favorites I've ever done. One of my favorites I've ever done.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's because, bro, I look at it like this, bro. If you look at, I'll use Michael Jackson. Michael Jackson there's like 10 writers on one song, 10 participants on, let's say, PYT. There's like 9 different songwriters on that record. So like, I feel like it's better in collaboration to just trust the other person and get them more involved in the creative process. So I'm gonna lay my vocals and say, you put where you think it fits. Because I know how it hears in my head, but I know that this is your sound. You're producing it. So you, with the music, kind of know where it fits best as the person who created the sounds of it. So I'm just going off the template of what you made. So when I'd rather send you the vocals and then you figure out where it fits in your head to your sound than the other way around, because I will say this. It's harder to find a Rick Rubin than it is to find a singer down the street.
Sure.
It's harder to find a Teddy Riley or a Pharrell Williams than it is to find a singer who could sing at Walmart and with the right training, they could sing. But the person who hears it, envisions it, are harder to find. So with you, when you did the Dragon Lee theme, it was like, okay, this is what I'm vocally inspired to say, but take it and do what you want with it. Because you'll know. It'll click better. Same thing I did with Darren with the LA Knight thing. Same thing. I did the same exact process. I do the same exact process with whoever I collaborate with that makes the music, and they mix and they arrange it. You guys got it. You know what I mean? I'll hear it back. 99% of the time it sounds great. So I'm just gonna trust the collaborative process, and it's just easier to work with people that way. If it's a 50-50 thing and you go with what you're feeling, I go with what I'm feeling, it's just easier. It just makes music easier. And I look at it like this. Honestly, it sounds very brash, but it's the truth. We're getting 5 cents like per stream, bro. Like we're getting or the music industry is still trying to figure out the right rates to pay artists, and we're going through all this. I am not gonna stress over a drum pattern, bro. Like or hey, I don't like this one guitar string here, or bro, let's just put it out, bro. I just want to put it out there. If it sounds good, sounds clear enough, sounds clean enough, okay, my vocals sound on point, the timing is right, all right, cool. When we put in DSPs, let's get these royalties straight, and let's just put it out there, bro. Like,
Absolutely.
I've always been that way. I'm just like, let's just put the shot up. It sounds great. People love the Dragon League theme. People love the stuff that we've done together. And I'm just like, I just want to make music. I just want to create. It sounds good. Let's do it.
Yeah, absolutely. And, with Dragon Lee's theme, it was funny too, because speaking with Dragon Lee and trying to be like, all right, cool, what do you want? He kind of showed me a bit of what he had used before, in all the different promotions he was in. And I remember that we were going back and forth. And for me, I always like to get the instrumentals done first to be like, all right, cool, do you like the direction? Once I get that, then we can bring in the vocals. Because again, as someone that doesn't do a lot of vocals, that's the process for me where I got to bring somebody in and do collaborations and whatnot. So that's kind of once it gets out of my hands. And at that point, it becomes, all right, cool. Well, now it's another person's studio time. It's another person's creativity. It's another person's gear that I'm not familiar with. It's another person's. Like, there's a lot of different technical things at that point. And I remember for so long, I would send this to Dragon Lee. I'd be like, what do you think? What do you think? What do you think without vocals? And he'd always be like, oh, it's really good. It just needs something. I'm like, okay, but at least do me the favor. Do you like it like without vocals? He's like, yeah, but like it needs something else. I'm like, I promise you, as soon as we throw TZ's vocals on, it's going to be fire. And he's like, yeah, like go ahead and send it off. And then first time I sent it back to him, he literally like on the phone exploded. He was like, I don't know what you did, but it sounds so good. It sounds so much better. I'm like, I told you, we got the vocals on it. That's what we did. And he was picking out all the things because he had given me like, oh, here's what I want to say. Here's who I am. But again, it also makes sense when working with somebody like you and I and Kevin and all these people who are also fans of wrestling. So we've seen him. We know who he is. And there may be some deeper things intrinsically that they're going to go, you know what? I want you to say this, or I want you to highlight this element of what I'm doing. But you know what? We're still fans of wrestling. We're still fans of these people. We still know about them. So it's kind of like, you're not starting off complete square one, not knowing anything. You're going into it knowing a bit of his background, knowing the people that he's with, knowing, that it could be something where it's for the family and things like that. So there's like all of these different elements that come out, and it's not a worry about anything because at the end of the day, he hears it and he's like, this is amazing. And I would love to hear that theme come up on WWE, but at the same time, I want to make something new for him, and I know that he would love to have something new too. So if we can go ahead and make something happen, I mean, I'm saying when we make something happen, because that's how we operate, ladies and gentlemen. It's not if, it's when it happens.
Absolutely.
That's how you got to reframe it too.
There is no closed door, bro. We either breaking the door open, we're creating our own door, but there is no, that we don't.
Absolutely.
Successful people don't believe in if. Nah, we're gonna find a way. Every single time.
There's one I'm going to ask you about too before we conclude our interview here.
Sure.
Because this one was a very fun one for me to do. And I think it was probably a little bit different than how you and I usually operate for Leo Sparrow, Son of the Sun. Awesome wrestler up here in my area, really good dude. And he ended up saying, well, his gimmick had a lot of things that he really wanted to put in there. And I felt with like Dragon Lee, again, it was like, okay, cool, here's who he is, you know who he is, here's this. But with someone like Leo Sparrow, who there was a lot more specificity around, where it was like, all right, cool, here's his ring name, here's the fact that he's a vegan, here's what some of his move sets are, things like that. How's that for you going, okay, cool, here's like a list of things I gotta hit, as opposed to just being like, you know what, let me do me. I don't know. I feel like I kind of gave you a lot of things, and it's a little bit of a different process, you know?
Those are actually fun for me because they are very challenging in a sense of, okay, I either 8 bars or 16 bars, I have to write this, and I have to, he or she wants to make sure that all these points are put in. Okay,
Yeah.
cool. Let me try to break this down and put this in each line, say something about each point. Each sentence, try to make some kind of point. So that's what I try to do. And that one was very different from, what our usual work process is, my work process is. But it's also fun because the more notes that they give me, the better, the more I have to work with. And now I can make it easier canvas. It's actually kind of easier for me in the sense of I know how I can base the song. If this is your character and this is the things you want to do, you like money, you like this, you like that. Okay, cool. I can make that. You know what I mean? Instead of just sending me, hey, I just want to talk about being a champion. I'm the best. Oh,
Yeah.
okay. It gives me more of a base point. And it makes the process of what I want to write about, you know what I mean, easier for me in that context,
And it's also something where Leo Sparrow has a very specific thing that he's going for. It's very much about the vegan thing. He carries lettuce to the ring, all these kinds of stuff. When you're working on some of these other themes, a lot of the times it's like, yeah, it's something that means something to them. But I think a lot of us can relate to, even with Sammy Guevara's theme, right? A lot of us can relate to being on the come up and wanting our due diligence and wanting to show people, hey, I'm here. A lot of people can relate to the themes from Shane Taylor's theme. And I think with someone like Leo Sparrow, it's a very kind of specific, dare I say, wrestling type gimmick. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Where it's like a little bit more of a character that you're bringing in and adding props and things like that. Like we talked about the lettuce in the ring, things like that. You're naming moves after the fact that you're vegan. It's all this kind of like even more, I don't want to say more creative than Shane Taylor. It's just a different way. It's more of a, you know what I'm trying to say?
Yeah, absolutely.
Shane Taylor's more something based in kind of like the everyman, like the more everyone relates to this, as opposed to the Leo Sparrow, where you're sitting there going, okay, cool. There's more of a gimmick behind it, more of a character, so to speak, So I'm sure it's a little bit of a different dynamic for you writing one to the other, too.
Absolutely. It is, man. It's a different dynamic, and it kind of just all is circumstantial. It all depends on what they're looking for. Do they know themselves? Do they know what they want? Normally newer wrestlers don't necessarily have it down to a T yet. As in the more experienced ones kind of know. They know the sound they want. They've had the experience. As with newer wrestlers, they kind of let you start from a base point and kind of just know what they kind of artists they like, and you just build around that. So it's it comes down to a science, and I know me and you have done that. We worked this to a science where we know, and it's all about building your catalog and being able to be diverse in how you work. So many people work one certain way, and they're not able to figure it out. Like you said, you had somebody call you 30 minutes before a show, like, yo, I need something. So, or you had something where, hey, I need something in a month. So you learn to adapt. I think adaptability is the biggest thing that comes with being a musician, and being in theme song making is being adaptable. It's being adaptable and learning what works. Okay, you know what? this might not be my strong suit, but I'm gonna hit up John for this. John will know. Like, dude, my favorite work we've done together, dude, was that guitar work you did on that Revo track, bro.
I love that. Yeah.
Bro, I still just listen to that beat. I don't even listen as much to my words as I listen to what you and Rich did together to that. That's one of my favorite songs I've ever made. But just the music was incredible. When you sent me that, I said, yo, this dude a legend, man.
Oh man,
This
I appreciate
this
you.
dude's
And
phenomenal.
that was also one of those like 5-10 minute things where it's like, oh man, like I hear the direction, you guys had it, and here we are with it, you know. And sometimes that's just how it happens, like you said. Sometimes you're sitting there going, you know what, this is what's gonna work, and that's what you got to do. Sometimes you got to lean into what's gonna work. So
Absolutely.
I
Absolutely.
love it.
You gotta lean what's gonna work. You have to lean into what your spirit tells you. Because if you overthink it, a lot of times the idea goes away or it's just not going to
Yeah,
sound the way it's supposed to sound. So you have to just continue to build and just trust your ear. Trust your ear and you'll never go wrong.
yeah, absolutely. And that's such an important point. Like, trust your ear. You can learn everything you can learn. You can learn all the music theory. You can learn all the production tips. You can learn everything. But at the end of the day, you need to have that background. You need to have that stuff in you so that you're not thinking about it when you need it. You're just doing it. And you know what? Sometimes you do something that doesn't match that. And you know what? That's okay.
Yep.
If it works, works.
Yep.
That's it.
100% correct.
Well, my dude, it's been awesome being able to have a conversation with you today. I know you're someone I've wanted to bring on since we started the podcast, and it's just really more of a let's just get to talk for an hour. Let's just talk about themes. Let's talk about wrestling. Let's talk about life. Let's talk about all of it. We need to do this more frequently, both on and off pod, and you'll be hearing way more from TZ and I over the years, as you know, and hopefully it's not going to be years. It'll be, as we just talked about, months, days, all that fun stuff, because it's always awesome collaborating with you, and I'm so grateful for us being able to work together all these years and just be able to be good friends as we have been.
Absolutely, man. I appreciate your hard work for the culture. I give you your roses and thank you for your friendship. Once again, you've helped me on a personal level when I've needed you the most. So you forever have my loyalty as a friend. Whatever you need from me, if I could do it, any advice, any connects that I can make, anything I can do to help you out, I definitely will. I believe that you already have had a legendary career in this, and I believe that it's going to even grow even more. And for us to stay inspired and push each other and keep each other motivated and know what we need to do in order to not only for our own spiritual happiness, but just to remain happy for ourselves within what we're doing and staying and keeping that blue fire lit in what we're doing.
Absolutely.
I thank you, man. This is a great podcast. I hope this podcast grows and you get 1 million stream downloads and because you deserve it. You're a good brother, man. And I've always been rooting for you because you're a good person. And I just hope that, you continue with this. Don't stop this podcast, bro. Just keep cranking them out. Keep pushing. I know it's, the algorithm quotation and a lot of stuff will try to discourage people from doing their stuff, man. But
It's all good.
keep
We just
doing
keep
your
going.
thing. Keep doing your thing. You have my full support, brother, and my phone's always on, bro.
I appreciate you. We're just rising all ships, man. We're just doing it. I got one last question for you, and this one's probably going to be an easy one, or it might be a hard one,
Sure.
because some people have said it's a little bit hard. So, what I'm asking all my guests at the end of every show is if you had to put 3 pieces of music on a Spotify playlist to say, this represents Monteasy, what are those 3 songs that you're going to choose?
Great question.
Might be the hardest question.
Man, this shit is different when you got a big catalog. Man, I ain't been. This is a good one. I ain't been asked this. Obviously, Take Flight. It could be wrestling thing or it could be anything.
It could be anything. It could be stuff that you've done, or it can be music that over your time, your life, has inspired you.
Ooh, so it don't have to be me.
No, no, it doesn't have to be music that you've worked on. It's what are
Oh,
three
this
songs
oh.
in your life? Yeah.
Ooh. I'm gonna put one of my songs on there. Song "Right or Wrong" with Anthony King.
Cool.
That will be one I put on there. That record means a lot to me with life experiences, things that I've been. I will put Monteasy featured Anthony King, "Right or Wrong." Ooh. Nas, "Life's a Me," off the Illmatic album. And I will put "And Justice for All," the title track from Metallica.
Nice.
Yeah, yeah.
All great tracks. Obviously, myself being a Metallica fan, huge Metallica fan, couldn't have asked for a third one that was better. Ah, look at that.
Yeah, and by the way, 72 Seasons was a phenomenal album. I love that album. A lot of people give Metallica slack because they're just famous and they made it, but
Yeah.
phenomenal guy. James, Lars, Kirk, Rob, you guys are absolutely phenomenal. I'm going to your show in Tampa in a few months. I'm going to the Day One show with Limp Bizkit and them, and I am going to have me a good ass time. It's going to be 2 weeks before my birthday, and I'm going to have some fun. So that's
That's awesome. Metallica's been one of the best live shows I've ever gone to. I think I've seen them either once or twice in my life, but when I've seen them, best show. And 72 Seasons was dope. There's a lot of hate on it. I think it's because of their early stuff to the new stuff. But dude, great songs. Yeah. Keep
absolutely,
crushing it.
absolutely.
And you
man.
keep crushing it. As always. You're always crushing it. Gotta try to be more like you, my friend.
Thank you, my brother. I appreciate you, man. And give the family my best. Give the and we'll be collaborating again soon, my brother. So thank you.